Hello and welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about who should pay the bill on a date. Now, this is a classic debate, and today I'll help you figure out who needs to pay the bill. So, when it comes to paying the bill, it's not about money. Well, it is about money, but it's not all about money. It's about more than just money. It's about building attraction. It's about expectations. It's about meeting expectations or even going beyond expectations. It's about showing your values, showing respect, showing appreciation. So when the bill comes up, when you're on a date and the check arrives, keep in mind that this little interaction of paying or not paying or whatever it is that you decide to do, that little interaction will leave a lasting impression on your date. Okay, fellas? So it is important that we make sure that we leave a good impression on the women. After all, paying the bill is a little test. It's a little test in dating. And not only for us guys, but for the ladies listening, when the check arrives, it's also a little test for you ladies so that we can gauge how you are as a person and whether we want to invest more time and more resources in a potential relationship with you. Now, there are different points of view to look at who should pay the bill. Now, the first way, or the first two views that we can take is the traditional point of view and the modern point of view. And traditionally speaking, the man should pay for the date. It's a sign of chivalry. And back in the day, women used to make less money, and therefore the men would always pay. Besides that, generally speaking, when all said and done, men and women usually thrive better in their more traditional roles, their more natural roles. That being said, men just being men and ladies just being ladies, or men just being men and women just being women. And without even going in too deep, I think everybody knows what a man is or what the role of a man is supposed to be and what a woman is and what the role of a woman is, traditionally speaking, right? So men are men, women are women. And most women, fellas, will find it very attractive when you pay. And it's not necessarily about the money. Of course, it's nice if you have money to spend and if you can treat a woman well and you can buy her stuff. Of course, it's all fine. But that's not really the main point. It is attractive. It shows that you're generous. It shows your values. It shows what you want. It shows that you're willing to invest time and money, resources, etc. And that is attractive. Now, from a more modern point of view, splitting the bill or taking turns paying the bill is more or less the new norm. However, from my personal experience, I don't find splitting the bill or taking turns really to be the new norm. Men and women nowadays make good money, both of the genders, of course, men and women. We all make money, so we can all pay for our own stuff. That includes dates. And to keep it more balanced or to keep it more equal, usually from a modern point of view, men and women would like to split the bills or take turns paying for the bill. Still, that being said, most women will still find it very attractive when a man pays. And not for the reason money, for the other reasons I just talked about. Keep in mind that we're talking about first dates or the first few dates. We're not talking about how to handle dates when you are in a relationship. We're talking about the first few dates. And there are obviously also cultural differences. Some cultures expect men to pay, and other cultures it's more leaning towards equality, more balanced in terms of paying the bills. Now, when it comes to paying or not paying the bill, what message are you sending? What signals are you showing? There are a few things to keep in mind. Confidence and entitlement are two very important things when it comes to paying the bill. Let me elaborate a little bit. As a man, you are expected to pay, traditionally speaking. And women usually expect that the man is going to pay. Right? So that can lead to some difficult or awkward situations in some cases. And we want to avoid awkward, we want to avoid difficult situations, especially on a date. We want to keep it cool, we want to keep it casual, we want to keep it very smooth. So when it comes to paying the bill, for the guys, you are expected to pay and you should just pay the bill. It shows confidence. It shows you're generous, right? So that is important. And for the ladies listening, we guys, we know you expect us to pay. But even though you expect us to pay and we know we are going to be paying for the date, the way you handle these expectations, the way you signal these expectations, sometimes comes off as entitlement. And it shows, or it comes off as being spoiled. And that's not what you want to signal to a guy. Because once a guy figures out you feel like you are entitled to stuff, I will guarantee you 99% of men will stop dating you. So entitlement is the thing for women to look out for. So even though we know we are going to pay, and you know we are going to pay, it is always, always appreciated that you as a woman at least offer to pay your part of the bill. And ladies, don't worry. 99% of the time, even when you offer to pay, we guys will just say, no, it's fine, I got this. It gives us the opportunity to show that we are guys. It gives us the opportunity to show our confidence, to show that we can pay for stuff, to show that we're generous, to show that we're willing to pay for stuff for you. And also, it is much appreciated when a woman offers to pay because it shows appreciation. It shows gratitude. It shows respect. And that will go a long way. Just offering to pay for the bill will leave a good impression on a guy. So ladies, even though we know as guys that we're going to pay, offering to pay for your bill or for the part of what you had for dinner or drinks is always a good idea. Now, there's also something where women every now and again have a problem with, and that is a little bit of a power dynamic. Sometimes women are a little bit scared that if the guy pays for stuff, that he somehow has the upper hand, and that is not the case. Paying for stuff does not necessarily mean that you have the upper hand. It just shows, especially on a date, that you can fill in the role that you are assigned. Right? So if I as a guy want to pay, so I want to show that I can pay for stuff. I want to show my gratitude towards you. I want to show a little bit of leadership. So let me pay the bill. Doesn't mean that you as a woman owe us guys anything. You don't. The only thing you owe us is when we ask you out, is that you show up and at least try to have a good time. And I would even say that when the bill comes up and you offer to pay, that's always nice. But some women take it to the next level and they keep pushing, like, no, I really want to pay, I really, really want to pay. And you keep pushing and pushing. And just the more you push back, it is quite a turn off. Just offering is more than enough. Okay? So it's not about power, it's about showing your values, it's about showing intentions, it's about showing generosity, gratitude, respect, and so on. It's not necessarily about a power dynamic. Now, when it comes to paying, how do women perceive men who insist on paying versus men who want to split the bill? Well, that's very simple, I would say. As a guy, assume to always pay the bill, and under no circumstance should you ask to split the bill. I will elaborate a little bit later on why you shouldn't do that and why there is no purpose to ask for splitting the bill. Now, it's different when you are in a relationship, and it's different, of course, when you are booking a vacation of a couple thousand of euros, but we're talking first dates. Don't ask to split the bill. It demonstrates exactly the opposite of what you want to demonstrate. The things that we just talked about. And yes, fellas, it does come off as being cheap. It does. Even if the date didn't go well, you should pay the bill. It's always the best thing to do. Even if the date doesn't go well and you're like, oh, I hate her, I really want to end this date, I don't want to pay for her drinks or whatever, just be a guy, just suck it up and just pay for the bill. Women actually like it when you step your game up. It also gives you a chance to show that you're a guy, and it gives her the chance to be a woman, so you can fill each role accordingly. So it is super important. So don't ask to split the bill. Now, in some cases, women will offer to pay or even insist on paying. What should you do? Well, if she offers to split, you should just kindly refuse. Because even if you accept, it does come across as cheap. And it does not allow you to demonstrate all the qualities that you want to demonstrate. Generosity, for instance, super important. Now, in some cases, she will insist that she really wants to pay for her part at least. Make no big deal out of it. Just let her pay her share of the bill. You know, you're a confident dude, so you shouldn't be troubled about it. Even if she might think that it is a power move or something that has to do with a power dynamic, don't look at it like that. Just let her pay, don't read too deep into it, just be cool. If she says, no, I really, really want to pay, you just say, okay, fine, you can pay your part. It's no big deal, it's cool. Ladies, just the fact that you offer to pay at least your part of the bill goes a long way. Like I said, you don't really need to enforce and really insist that you want to pay. Just offering is enough. Now, what if she offers to pay the full bill? What should you do? Now, I would argue that 99% of the time, if a woman offers to pay the bill fully, most likely you will have succeeded in your setup for the date. Most likely you are having a very successful date. She is probably very invested in you in time and money, and I'm pretty sure she actually likes you. And you can be quite sure, quite certain that there will be a second date. Now, from my personal experience, I've been on numerous dates, And every time a woman paid for the date, for drinks or for the food or whatever, every time the woman paid, the date was super successful and she did indeed actually really like me. Now, usually, from my personal experience, women are a little bit sneaky when it comes to paying the bill. And every now and then they'll just pick up the check and they'll say, well, I'm going to the restroom, and they'll just pay the bill without you even getting the chance to pay for the bill. Right? She wants to make a good impression as well, and you should let her. No big deal. Now, when you are at the table and the check comes and she says, no, I'm going to pay for it. First thing you do is kindly refuse. Just say, no, it's fine, I'll pay for it. If she really likes you and she really insists, like, no, I really want to pay for you for this date, I really like you, I really want to pay. Let her pay. Be cool. Relax. And you can use this as a setup or as a segue to set up a next date. Because she probably 99% of the time really is into you. So you could say something along the lines of, well, you can pay for this one, but next weekend when we go out, I'm treating you. Boom, there you go. You set up the second date and she'll probably say something like, yeah, that's fine, that's great. So if she really wants to pay, let her pay. Now, it is a test, when the bill comes, it is a test, so it is important how you handle it. For women, be appreciative. Offer to pay, it shows some gratitude, it shows appreciation and respect, and also actually mean it. That if the guy says, fine, I want to split the bill, don't make a big fuss out of it and just pay your part. Also, ladies, just saying thank you is super attractive. These two words will do a lot of good on your date. If the guy pays for the date, you should just at least say thank you. And like I said, anytime you offer to pay, 99% of the time on a date, a guy will say, no, I got it, I will pay for it. And for men, please don't be a puss. Be a gentleman. Pay for the bill. It shows generosity, it shows confidence, it's attractive, it's your chance to show the woman the things you want to show. Once again, it's not about money. Now, there are different scenarios that can come up. And one that is important is when a woman asks you out. How should you handle that when it comes to paying the bill? Always keep in mind that as a guy, you are expected to pay. So you should always expect and assume to pay regardless of the scenario. Keep that in mind. So if she asks you out on a date, and let's say it is a very expensive dinner, a very expensive restaurant, still, you should always, in the back of your head, expect to be paying for this date. Okay? Now, keep that in mind that if you're not sure if she's going to pay, if she's actually asking you out on a date and she's willing to pay for it, especially if it is super expensive, figure out what she means. Make sure that you two are on the same page. She might not expect you to pay at all. She might actually ask you out on a date and she'll pay for everything. That's cool. But like I said, 99% of the time, women expect the guy to pay, and we as guys are also expecting that we're going to pay. So if somebody asks us out to something fancy, sometimes some alarm bells go off. Some red flags go up. So keep that in mind. So you should say something along the lines, oh, you're treating me to a fancy dinner, that's so nice of you. And then see how she responds. If she says, yeah, I'm going to treat you to a fancy dinner, fine, you can go along with it. Or if she says something that is a little bit troublesome, where you think, well, probably I'm the one going to be paying for it, you can divert this date to something else. You can say, well, quite a bit of an expensive date, or well, 2 hours for a date is a little bit long. I was thinking more in the lines of getting some coffee, for instance. You could also, if she asks you out for a very expensive date, you could also say, well, that's quite expensive. How about you treat me to coffee? You could do that as well. It shows also that you're perfectly fine with coffee, or just grabbing a sandwich or something like that. When it comes to asking someone out, the person who initiates the date, so the person who asks the other person out on a date, is expected to pay. And usually, guys, it's us. We're usually asking the women out. So based on that, also we're expected to pay for the date. Now, what about fancy, expensive dates? First of all, we're talking first dates, second dates, third dates. Why should you take someone out on expensive dates in the first place? You have no business taking people to very fancy and expensive dates in the first few weeks, let's say. So you shouldn't. Also, when you ask someone out, just keep it casual. Keep it low budget, low investment. And that's great for first dates. It also weeds out the people who are in it for the money and the fancy dates, or people who are actually in it to get to know you. So, and here's the cool part, I would say. When it comes to paying for dates, well, if you have a lot of dates and you always go to restaurants and fancy places, unless you actually have the budget and you have the money to do so, still I would advise not to. But if you have low budget dates, why do you care about paying for 2 coffees? $5, €5? Why do you care? You really want to split a bill of €10? No, of course not. It's nothing to you. So you shouldn't stress about it. Who's going to pay? If every time I go on a date and we're getting coffee, I don't mind paying for all the dates. It's just coffee. It's €5 maximum. I don't care. I'm not gonna heckle my date to pay for a coffee. So go somewhere that you can actually afford, and you don't even have to worry about who's going to pay. You can always say, I'm paying for it, because you know it's going to be very inexpensive. That's awesome. And you can go from there. You can make the dates more expensive and more expensive every time you meet. Now, I know some of you guys don't actually like paying for dates in the first place. And I hate to break it to you, but dating costs money. So if you don't like to pay for dates, if you don't like to spend money on dates, then you shouldn't be dating. You can't expect to always go on very inexpensive dates. Not every date is going to be a walk in the park, like literally a walk in the park. And even then, you're probably going to spend some money. So dating costs money, and you will have to pay your part at least. If you are in a rough spot financially, you probably want to fix that first before you are going on dates. So you don't have to worry about what the date is going to cost you and who's going to pay, and so on and so on. So if you're going on a date and you have to spend €5 on a coffee, if you are on a tight budget, yeah, that's going to be rough. So you don't want to do that. So make sure that you are financially stable first. And when it comes to spending money, and I think we all know this, regardless of dating, what do you think a girlfriend is going to cost you, or a wife, or a family? You'll be spending a lot more than €5 on a coffee, or $100 on a dinner. So keep that in mind if you're tight about money, if you don't like spending money, then dating and a girlfriend is probably not for you. So Keep that in mind. So to finish up today's episode, when it comes to paying the bill, the takeaway is there is not a one-size-fits-all answer, but keep in mind that generosity, respect, and appreciation is always, showing that is always a good idea, and it will always leave a good impression. And like we said, as a guy, always assume to pay. And for the ladies, you know, we guys know that we're going to be paying, but be appreciative. Be kind. Say thank you. Another takeaway is paying the bill is not about money. It's about the message that you're sending. Right? You're sending the vibes and you're sending the message that you are generous. You are appreciative. You're kind. You're respectful. You want to pay. You want to show leadership. Right? You want to take charge of the date. You want to take charge of the bill. Sure. All attractive things to show a woman. And last but not least, if you are in doubt, if you're doubtful about who needs to pay, which you shouldn't, because you should always assume that you are going to be paying for it, but on the off chance that you are a little bit doubtful, play it cool. Just be cool, assume to pay, and if she insists on paying or splitting the bill, just go with it. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope now you know what to do, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.